Hello, welcome to BISP Solutions. We are an IT consulting and service provider specializing in APM, BI, and data visualization technologies. I am Ashish Jain, a techno-functional consultant with diversified experience in Oracle Cloud implementation and support, and Hyperion planning and budgeting cloud services, Hyperion financial reporting, enterprise performance reporting cloud services, and narrative reporting. In this video, we will discuss about supply planning under strategic workforce planning. Supply planning, a user could look ahead at how his or her workforce resources will meet his or her workforce, workforce demands. The supply headcount or full-time FTE beginning balance for a given year is reduced by previous year retirement FTE. Retirement and attrition values negatively impact the supply headcount and FTE. For example, in an organization, they have a strategic job, say a director. Now, consider there are five directors in an organization and they have a structure wherein they have the retirement age to be 60. Now, based upon this retirement age, each director would fall under one of the age band. He could fall under the age band wherein he is about to retire in near future. This would reduce into reduction in total number of employees who are under the cap of directorship. This could hamper the overall strategic goal of an organization. Such kind of attritions can be managed under strategic workforce planning module under supply planning. Now, in strategic workforce planning, there are a concept of drivers, attrition drivers. These attrition drivers typically account for about 90% of employee turnover. Oracle Strategic Workforce Planning Cloud Services provides two attrition drivers by default, one being attrition by job and another being attrition by age. Now, attrition by age is only accessible if we have enabled age-based retirement in our module. Now, to begin with the module, what are the steps that are to be taken up in order to do the supply planning? So we need to set up attrition drivers under strategic workforce planning, supply, and under supply, we have attrition drivers. Now, there are two driver categories under attrition driver, attrition by job and attrition by age. Now, if we select attrition by age, we need to define the retirement age for the strategic years so that the application could read these strategic the retirement age in order to calculate the overall retirement in the upcoming years. In the similar fashion, we could also provide with the data, the attrition data by age band or by job. So how the things work before looking into it into application, I have a Excel sheet prepared for it to understand the logic behind attrition by job and attrition by age. Now suppose for my organization, I have a five kind of job category, job 1 to 5, wherein the number of employees that are there are 5, 8, and 10 accordingly for the job 1 to 5. Now, under retirement attrition by age, based on retirement age, once we provide with the retirement age value, say 62. Now, what will happen? Say for this particular employee who falls under the job category 1, he is in the age band of 51 to 60. So as since we are in financial year 20, as the financial year 21 will approach, this particular employee will get retired in financial year 21. In the similar way, the age band for this particular employee is 61 to 50. So this particular employee will also get retired in financial year 21. But this particular employee who is in the age band of 51 to 65 will take next years to get retired. So, and for this particular employee also, since the age band is 61 and we have provided that in financial year 21 the retirement is 62, he again will get retired in financial year 21. So in this similar way, by financial year 21, for this particular job, we will have three retirements, and our total FTE will reduce to two. So in this case, we would be lagging with two number of full-time employees for this particular strategy job. So this overall calculation is taken care by uh, sup- supply planning under strategy workforce planning to calculate the overall retirement of the FTE in order to calculate and estimate the number of FTE that are about to be uh, which get retired in order to meet the required supply in the organization of that particular employee under that category of strategic job. In the similar way, we could also provide the data, or we could also do the planning based on age band. So under age band, we have two categories. Either we could provide attrition by age band or by job. Now, if you provide attrition by age band in this under this category, what we have to do, we have to provide the attrition in the form of a negative number. So say for this particular job, my attrition rate is 10%, and for all the employees who belongs to 25 and under. So as per my organization view, employees who are in the age group of 25 and under, there is a possibility that 10% of these employees may leave the organization in the near future. In the similar way, I have the attrition rate for 26 to 30 age men being 7%. So again, we provide the data in the form of 7%. So in this way, we could provide the data for different age men accordingly. Now, what this will do, this will calculate the expected number of uh, reduction in full-time employee in near future. For example, for this particular job one, we have 5 employees, and under this, one of my employee falls under the category of 31 to 35. So what I believe is, due to the attrition rate, my total FT will reduce by 10% in near future for financial year 21, due to the employee being under the age band of 31 to 35. And this reduction will result into reduction of my total employee count by zero point 0.5. So in financial year 21, I would be okay. I just use positive, negative. I should have used positive because it's a negative number in here. So what will happen in financial year 21? My total FTE count will reduce to 4.5, and for financial year 22, in the similar way, again this will be 4.5 multiplied by 10%. Again, since the individual or the employee belongs to the age band 91 to 35, so there will be a reduction of minus zero point 0.5, and the value that will come up in here will be total reduction plus 4.5. Okay, so this is how the value gets reduced, and we get the FTE count for the near future for those particular strategic job based on age band. In the similar way, we could also provide with the attrition by job. So say I have these 5 categories of strategic job, and there are certain attrition rate for these particular job. That is the possibility of individuals or the employees leaving my organization. So what will happen? The application will calculate the total FT based on the attrition rate accordingly. Now, how the same works in our application? Let us just discuss the same in our application. So under strategic workforce, we need to move to supply. Now we will discuss each and every driver line by line. So under supply FT, we have the overall picture right now for financial year 21. What is the overall full-time employee currently in our organization? So for this particular strategic job, I have a full-time employee count as 1. For human resource, I have 3. You could see the same under supply FT. So under supply FT, you will have the total number of employee count currently, And since we haven't provided any attrition driver planning, the number that are being displayed here is directly associated to the total number of employees that we have. To see the details of the same, you just right click in here, you click supply details. So it will provide you with the employee structure. That is, I have an employee name Maverick who belongs to this particular job, and the employee headcount right now for this particular is 111 for the all the years in the future. Now, to do the planning based on retirement age, so we select the attrition by age, okay, and we provide with the retirement age. Now, say I want to keep my retirement age as 62, as we have seen in our Excel example. So I just keep it as 62. I just submit the data. Once I submit the data, what I have to do, I need to go to attrition driver, and when I click actions, under actions we have business rules, and we need to run the business rule calculate supply. So what this will do, it will calculate the total supply of the total number of employees for that particular job based on retirement, and it will calculate the total retirement number for all the jobs, for all the employees belonging in the age band, wherein if any individual who is falling in the age band of 60 plus, he will be considered to be retiring in financial year 21 or in the subsequent years, and the application will calculate the total retirement FT accordingly. So once the process is complete, we move to supply FT and we could see what we get in our calculation. So based on the number of jobs that we have in our application, the application takes times accordingly. However, you could select individual job also to do the calculations as per the requirement. Now, this particular calculation could be done also at the entity level or at the department level. Once we are done with this calculation, we'll have a total overall picture of total retirements that we have in our organization. So if I just move to supply FT, after running this calculation rule, you see we got this calculation as retirement FT will be one for this particular job. And if I just go to supply details, we could see who are the employees who are about to retire in the coming years. So they would, this particular employee would be retiring financial year 24. This particular employee would be retiring financial year 22. So this is how you could have the calculation of overall retirement in your organization. Second is how to calculate the retirement based on job. So we select the retirement by job as attrition by job. And what we have to do, we have to provide the attrition data by age band and then by job. So what we will do, we will just provide the data. Now, since we have to provide an attrition, and attrition is a negative value for an organization, we have to provide it data in negative terms. So we need to submit it as minus, and minus 1 means there is an attrition of 10% for 25 and under. Let me just submit it as 7% for 26 to 30. Based on this, the calculations will take place. And for the remaining, again, I am keeping it as 10%. Now, once you submit the data, you again go to attrition driver. Now, before going to attrition driver, let me just show you what is the current picture right now. So there is no attrition calculation right now. There is no attrition calculation right now. But when I go to attrition driver and I again run that particular rule under business rule, I just calculate supply. Now, based on calculate supply, I need to select the jobs. You could have individual jobs selected, or you could just run the whole rule for all the jobs that you have. You click launch, and what will happen? It will calculate the attrition rate. Based on attrition rate, the total FTE count for the strategic years in the near future, and it will lead to an understanding of how many employees are to be are supposed to get retired, or they are supposed to leave the organization, so that an organization could plan well ahead for any new recruitment required for that particular job profile. So let the rule run, and then we could see the same data under supply FTE. Okay, so my rule just got run. I just move to supply FTE again, and you could see that I have the, okay, I didn't get that because okay, you could just run that again from here. I just calculate supply. Okay, that I have done for the age band, not for the job. So for that, I have to provide the data against age band to get the calculations done. So we have to provide it against retirement age. Okay, under attrition by age band, we have to provide this data. Okay, we have to provide attrition data by job also. So we also need to provide the attrition data in here. So let me just keep it simple. Again, let me just keep it as minus 10 for this particular, minus 0.7 for this particular job, and minus zero point 0.1 in here. So the earlier the part that I did, it was for attrition by age. So we already had used attrition by age. We have defined attrition age directly. So the system took into account that particular parameter that we have supplied instead of attrition by age band. Once we are done, we have to again run that particular rule. Also, you could run that particular rule directly under supply FT. So to run that rule, what you have to do, you have to select this particular job profile for which you have to understand what will be the attrition rate. If you run this, it will calculate the attrition rate accordingly based on the job attrition data that we have provided. So I suppose we don't have any. Okay, we got this total turnover attrition rate in here. So it is calculating as 7% of one, 7% of one. So what will happen? This beginning period will reduce to 0.7, and this will become my opening. Okay, and this is how we get our opening. So this particular supply FT get calculated here in the similar way. Let me just calculate again for one of my job again. So I will have this attrition calculations done for this particular job profile also. So this is how the attrition is calculated, and based upon this attrition, an organization could plan well ahead for the demand requirement for the organization. Okay, so this is what the calculations takes place. This is how the calculations takes place. And the supply headcount, initially we were having a headcount of 111, and again we will have the same employee headcount. This is for the existing job. Now again we could have the calculation of supply compensation done in here. So what will happen, based upon the under overview, the average compensation rates that we have provided under supply, based upon the average rate for that particular job that we have provided, what the application will do, it will calculate the average compensation expense in the near future based upon the total employee in our organization. Now the same, the complete analysis of the same could be seen under gap analysis. So under gap analysis, you will see you have the total supply FT, and this is the total demand FT. Now so we have a total supply of employee being 8.63, and we have need to have total demand of 51 employees based upon demand planning. So there is a gap of 42.37%. Now, depending upon this variance, what an organization could do, they could plan ahead about the recruitment of new individuals for this particular entity for various job categories that they have. So this is how the supply planning works and strategic workforce planning. Thank you for being part of this session.